Sangmala samje dashi delo shu.
That is the lead to everyone.
Ngöndro ji peja de nyamdo songro nang.
Please follow me in changing the preliminary text.
Guru bema bao gandro sodan jeba dam ko garda sonda ge ngaje loy toje gomba rekba ran sharje ngo dala de tadil je tadan je de silje dunye nam garan jambara enjuru Jelama Ngöndro Namji Midalando Jejezi Dudada Gam Zum Sem Jena Sem Loma Dengando Nam Desenendro bena warajam Mando joran bezem jela Porarendo bena jorange Chenga jene zode bejer Palama je jone Lunga ye danyo mene bar Dente sam go bede la ba Le java de jita la ju Nerje nyam geshendero Tarajende nyendro bayi Jelamanga drezo namji Medage gozom jenjero Medage gozom jenjelo Medage gozom jenjelo Onda dejala Lhundrup salgo ba yinde Lhundrup saldan la Remendo naga mangba sheda yure Ane tanda nga zo long kudu Ane saldan ye naga chikcha de yure Okay,
now is the exhalation of the still breath. For this, there are various ways to do this practice, the exhalation of the still breath. But for our practice, we do the ninefold exhalation of the still breath, and please follow me in doing this. The exhaling still breath practice.
laso ta de chela soldev da chelap shwe de inza sosu chizu do namba ngurun ba chela mo tawla ma imba je me ba che ta de la sem ding ne theba da me ba ko ba che ji bi gang ne no solo da bu do soldev de ni nge ta na da bi chu du bu ye anu che dam je ji dang ngon do ami shi da wo de ngon ro ren ba de yin sa nge ngon ro ko la na san do dang yu ngon ro nyam ni chi yu de ngon ro nyam ni de ya bu yong wa ne solo da bu de che lam na ro na sa na ya sem de ya ne no solo da bi yon du en la me jin de re no de re no chen song sam ko yu re de che le ne la ma ho jin na ba la shu ne so zu ji lui la tim je ane rani ji lunga ye sum da la me ko song tu sum e me de jor song sam ane de che la lo da na ba shi ni tse ji de kha shi da ne be nyam de de ba re.
Okay, next is the supplication and the requesting for the blessing. So for this, we visualize the protector in the form as the Guru Rinpoche, and in essence, our own root Guru above our crowns, and then very fervently, with the greatest devotions and venerations, we request for blessings and for the sake of doing the Dharma properly, as we are doing the preliminary Dharma, which is the very basis of the all Dharma practice. So in order to make these Dharma practice proper and fruitful, we request our gurus for his blessings, and then in ourselves we are kind of thinking that Guru is showering us with his blessing and allowing us to to do this practice, and then we also have to with that aid with this kind of and the sense of Guru allowing us to do the practice, and at the same time Guru himself kind of appearing in the form of light, and then completely becoming we ourselves becoming one with the Guru, inseparable from our body, speech and mind. And so in this way, with this specific visualization and the meditation form, then we are doing the practice of the 4 mind changings in the following way. In the following way, we talk about those dharmas, the practice of the 4 mind changings.
Balde zawe lama rembo dage joro beme den lash kadin jembe ngone jezon de kozon doji ngot zaldo zo Tezuna sanje dam jeje ngo lama rembo jeje dage ju menjen jolwara jenje labduz samlam je doba je bara je gula je jenje labduz zede ne la waza zoba je lamjo dar je bara jenje labduz Tezuna sanje dam jeje ngo lama rembo jeje dage ju menjen jolwara jenje labduz samlam je doba je bara je gula je wara jenje labduz sede ne la oza zoba lamjo dar je bara jenje labduz tezuna sanje dam jeje ngo lama rinpo jeje dage ju menjen jolwara jenje labduz samlam je doba je bara je gula je wara jenje labduz sede ne la oza zoba jembe lamjo darje labduz zo devzo lama rinpo Dongwe Bedu Jinjin Juji Kalme Dala Reza Angele Duye Yermen Jebara Jinjelu Yema Dage Junjen Gane Jan Daljuro Dende Shindu Nyebara Dune Jezon Nyezon Jela Kewa Jube Longa Majun Renjen Lingne Donlo Onyendo Kalde Juje Bemba Madu Jine Milu Nyeba Galanju Dada Debe Guru Ramji Lendru Milu Dembe Ngöndro Lazo Dembe Tamje Namni de Longda Dobe Tani Jen Song Yure De Longdo Yishu Namba Nibo Teyang Dezen Jeba Majidan Drubar Jeba Konao Song Yundu Sanje Ji Songbe Tambe Chu de Karasore Chenyen Yi Gone Zenjong Persum Che de la Lungu Chu Na Komrum Nyamlen Yi Gone Zenjong Persum Che de la Tobe Chu San Dosun Doje Gone Iwa Ni Che Sha Yure.
Then, as for the sublime Dharma, it has basically two aspects or category: the Dharma of the scriptures and Dharma of the realizations. And as for the preservations of this Dharma of the great teacher Buddha, then we have to undertake it, based on explanations and the listening. Right, as this Dharma of the scripture is preserved through listening and explanations, and then the Dharma of the realization is preserved through meditations as well as practice.
Tadi Tanda Ngazo Sanjeji Sungbi Chödi Zo Ta Nyamlen Chesanamido Semju Dan Jaruri Rimba Chekicha Yure Da Sanjeji Sungbi Chödi Semju La Yinji Minyan Jar Kogure Da Mare Sanjeji Chödi Nyamlen Yinji Minji Chekwe Ram Mare Lamna Da De Chedan Soso Debare Rede Soso Dewa Dugu Na Me De la Ralegi Yure Soso Dewa Dugu Mena Karichana Yure Dewa Yang Tabajun Dugu Yuna Sanjeji Sungbi Chödi Surjindu Nyamzo Lang Tubayina and Deo Lana Mebajin Yabardu Jintu Yure.
So then, as for the teachings of the great teacher, it's basically the teaching is to practice, to put into practice, to integrate it into our mind stream, the teaching. So then, whether we need to, practice this teaching or not, it depends on individuals, And basically, as long as we desire for happiness, then we are somehow obliged to practice these teachings, right? Especially if we long for the everlasting, the happiness, the great happiness, then we have to do this, the practice of the great teaching of the Buddha. And by doing this, we all will gain tremendous, excellent result or benefit. That's very certain.
Sem den dulwa dang same de yagoja chabayina, and Tongal Tamja said Rogure, and the same de Chok de Bayina, and the Korvi Kalan Nebam, and the Korvi any Aranshin Le Kaduna Tarmito Bare. That day, and the same Dulgogure, same Dulje Tablam de la, and the Sanji Song Rabsanamido, Sanji Song Shabi, and Lamdi, Sanji Tensha, but Lamdi Shaguro. Lamde Nyamnin Cheguin and Ngöndro, Mushi, Rembat the Leguin Pale, Tandanga Ngöndro, Rembate, Nyamnin Cheshimbe Cabre.
Okay, then as for the happiness and the sufferings, there's the experience of the samsara and the beyond samsara basically depends on our mind. Mainly, it's our, it's a result of depend completely on our mind. If our mind is in a good state and trained well, then we will not experience suffering. But however, if our mind is disturbed and not, in a good state, we will suffer all different kinds of bad experience, and we will, always fall into the tremendous pains. And then as for the mind trainings, how to train mind, then the actual way or the method is the teaching given by the great teachers. As for his teaching, they are then the preliminary teachings as well as the man body teachings, and within those, then we are at the point of practicing or doing the preliminary dharmas or teaching.
Nida Ngöndro de la Yang, Tomongchi Ngöndro, Tumin Nangi Ngöndro, or the Rimindo Legure. Tomongchi Ngöndro de Nejung Jedi Mare, De Dangazu, Shinga Doji Tabu Yubanina, and Tambo Shinga de Polbo and Sobanajan Jagure. And Tumin Nangi Ngöndro de Jabro Semji de Jagure. De Nishinga de la Lumba Jabanashin Jagure.
So then, as for the preliminary dharma, there are two categories in the common preliminary dharmas and as well as in the uncommon preliminary dharma. Then as for the common preliminary dharma, it's basically about the generating the renunciations. As for renunciation, it is like making the soil very soft in our farming field, right? As for the uncommon preliminary dharma, then it is basically the generations of the bodhicitta, which is like watering the farming field, or irrigating the farming field, making the soil wet and prepared for growing something.
Ani dile dananga zo ani ngejungji namade komjimba indu ngejungje barche beyida namra mangbo yebin nane chul dom jabyondu lodo namba shinanglan dunro yure dile ani ngazo daju nyega wada meda bako mede ani chusarche tadanda ni le junjo kolla samla dangjenba yin.
So then now we are at the point of talking about renunciations, and for this there are many different ways to generate the renunciations, and among those we are at the point of talking about the one method of generating renunciations, which is called the four mind changing. And within this subject for mind changing, we have already talked about the the difficulties of finding freedoms and riches, as well as the death and impermanence. And now we have arrived at the point of talking about the karmic cause and effect.
Ninda lendre de ane kejumbo karejine chagyure se de korde ye cho tamje ane gyudan kenlara le gyure gyuen la ma de be choji mebare ane danda kang chungwa de ane gyumele je ba mare la gyumayin ba le je ba ya mare gyujila de go gyure gyode ane ke mege loma denje ne gyusum yung gyure loma denje gyui jawa ngamchi dang dende dedu shuchumba jenji neba dezamji mebare da jawa ngamchi dang dedu neba jenji yu gyu shu shi shu de ne kedi nilara legu yubare.
So then about the importance of the karmic cause and effect, then all the experience of samsara and beyond samsara depends on cause and conditions. There is nothing that is not related to cause and conditions. There's no things which is not born from causeless, neither born from something which is different from cause. All depend on causes and the conditions, and then those causes and conditions are basically the virtuous deeds and non-virtuous deeds, as well as indifferent deeds, which are neither of the two, right? So the indifferent deeds are generally not very powerful. They do not bring concrete result, in this life, very immediate result in this life. The things that brings the immediate the causes that brings an immediate result and concrete visible results are the virtuous deeds and non-virtuous deeds, basically.
Tandero kede nyebu de sui cheke yore se de sana ngarazo sozo cheke yore di chabala tene ane tedo mangbo chenyong kogodowa tende chene ane kewa kanda kare sha mekewa kanda kare do ane tsul chedar pangore o tende namsha da hako na ane ngazo Dharma tamchi kimi ngomang tobiya dan koral le antal tubila pendo chumbu yungu yuzang le junre de ke chumbu sege yore.
Then the virtuous and non-virtuous deeds are basically committed by ourselves, we ourselves, and due to our actions, then we get to suffer and various happiness as well as sufferings, and by knowing these facts, this the phenomena of the cause and effect with what the virtuous and non-virtuous, what they bring to us, and then knowing how how to kind of practice the good deeds or accumulate good deeds, then by doing this we will gain liberations as well as omissions. So therefore it is important to know about this fact, as well as then the way of accumulating the virtuous deeds, that which brings the liberations and the omniscience.
Tadene chebe ngazo le de la ke mege yele ni zo shi ge yudu tenana mege wele ko la zo shi shimbe namra namjare tadi le korang ge de nyongdang do ne ngazo ge je shi shimba imba ta de namen ni de nyongdang ko la ni shu chu bare samno dang cha bare ta ni gyudun jin de ni nyongdang sana men do de do kan de chung re de ko la ni ngazo sana samlo je dang gi.
So then within the virtuous and then non-virtuous deeds, we are basically talking about the non-virtuous deeds and within, how we get to, experience the resultant karma of the non-virtuous deeds. And we have already talked about the fully ripened the karmic retributions or the resultant actions in earlier sessions, and today we will talk about the result, which is called concomitant result, or concomitant result, probably we can say, yeah.
Da de gyudun yin ru de la cheba gyudun na nyongwa gyudun jebe ne ru nyongda nama nyi le byung yure de le ngol la nga zo cheba gyudun yin nyongda ko la ne samlo jindang yin.
For these concomitant, causally concomitant actions, there are two. One is the inferred, the causal concomitant actions, and the other one is directly experienced causal concomitant actions. And within this, we will talk about the first one, the inferred causal concomitant action.
Ne cheba gyudun se de mega wa chubo denzo kang chegi yo ba jina chada wa ji chegi be ge jare re da di zo na min jin ru denzo nyong sin tang ngang song denzo la ke ne tar sin bi ju la tarung de le dang tu gu yo ma re nga zo ka yo do jin nang la kala temang ngar bo ji yo gen ji ni yo ba yina de kal trui sao temang arbo yoga in trui na yang namsang lagi mendo wa ya te lao do yure de shul so do ji den de la ne gyudun ni de ure ta de la chaba gyudun de yang di yu sho ji yin bare.
So then as for the inferred, the causal concomitant action, it's basically aspects of the resultant action comes from the 10 non-virtuous deeds. After experiencing the fully ripened the resultant actions, and then we, still the karma are not completely exhausted. There are still some aspects of the karma we will get to experience. For instance, if a cup contains some stains, and then it is, first it is washed, and after it's washed, it's completely, clean, but still there are some traces of the stains that stayed in the cup earlier, and the stain is still not gone. It's kind of traces of this earlier, it's the things. Or in our life, the earlier action. So this is called the concomitant or causal concomitant actions of the resultant action.
Da den zo ko la ji xie wa na so je bi ne chaba gyudun de kan le gre se de ani ta chama na min nyong sa wa la mi lu den to be on do dang wa yin na ya ne rang xin ji xian la no ba jie la kao yo ba da ne chu ba jie ta jing ya dang dong de jie la kao yo ba da ane semje shenjo sokcho ye dan tenda lang gao yo ba wa tenda ane gyawo lang rugu yo re che sang nge tanda ne sokcho be le de chena yabu mendo ane nami nyong tsa na yang tarong tenda uji le sarba sa ye gyujin jing rugu do sang samlo dan gogo yo re.
So then if we as for the inferred, the causal concomitant actions, if we take the example of killing beings, then as for the action of killing beings, after experiencing the fully ripened result, such as being born in the hell realms or the hungry ghost realm, then there is still the other, the result is like we are becoming, at the end, we are becoming very negative, always tend to do some harms to others. We are naturally prone to do harms to others, to torture others, as well as they bully others, so forth. These are the the causal concomitant result of our negativities, and since these are very bad, the things, the negative result. So we have to know that it is not good to have such things. So and therefore we have to be very careful about this.
So da na shindo majin lembe ondo samla dangwa ina yang cheba gyudunde ane chema da chida nyemi luden toba ina yang ane rangshin ji ane kuma kuwe lang kao yo ba sozo nang di nanda pama punje ni nanda nye nye kordi inanda chala dunzo ane keja majin ne ane da chi ruwa dawdang kuwe ruwa dawdang o tene dende lang kao yo ba dera ne rangshin ji dera ola chenyong de ba mi shenje ka na ya ka mi to ba ne dende ji ne lamba shen jing de ka na lamba shen rangshin ji tabje dang zhe la so ba dende ji kuma ko lang gao yo ba jin chang zhu yo de de ya ne dan da ji le ji la de ne chema de ro ji ne do de nyong go yo ba yin de dan da ne ko sem ji lo dang gu yue le de ne pang go do nyam ba chi ne sam no da ro na.
Okay, then the concomitant, the causal concomitant, the actions related to the taking without giving, it will be like after being born in the lower realms, then the next we still become naturally kind of good at or prone to stealing other things, steal our the object belongs to our family, object belongs to our relatives, so forth. We always tend to steal others' possessions, and then naturally we are always kind of so dispositioned to take other people's possessions, even though sometimes we are prevented, but we will still find some other ways to steal other people's positions. And some others' possession. Sorry. So this is basically the result of this called their causal concomitant the actions, right, related to taking without givings. And so now, since this is a very negative things, and we will suffer accordingly by doing this, committing this action. So now we have to commit ourselves from inside, mentally and physically, not to commit such actions. We have to commit to ourselves. So please think about this for a moment.
So that Dharmagyan and the lower MB Cheva Judin one as another one in Aya. And in touch with Ni one Miluramaji Toby on the Danda Yang, and he made a Rajangi, and a Timla Minegan, Sulmianda Bala Minegan, and a Shenji, and Jogada, Shenji Jamenda, and the Dharmagyan. Kaza cheje songsha ba mi rabdu chungwa daw da yana nyungne da nyene la so ba ye toma songwe kam daw da ane tema me ra shin ji hen ji ne ta to songwe ane kaza ur kansa den zo la ne de ba che ba de be lo che daw da na so so sem de so so je kan la nyar min ne de be yul la yan ha jang shu jung be shen ba da de ne mang bo ji yong ru ge yure de ne me we ta de ane tanda 밀리토바나 최나 태바 아라오 여두 아니 가서 템바 시신 바요 제심나 마도 단은 즉서 말에 냠바지 나 삼노단 거고 요래.
So next, the concomitant, or maybe better to say the concordant, the result. So the concordant result related to the sexual misconduct will be, even if we are able to take birth of human beings, then that person will naturally be prone to, violate rules and regulations and do not, have proper discipline in life. He or she is always prone to abuse the wife or the husband of others, and he or she is prone to sexually kind of deceive those who are doing dharma practice, or being a retreatant, so forth, or some others who are belong to specific person, caste, or religious traditions. But so forth, right? We are deceiving or taking them from their belonging, their associations. So this is basically the resultant concomitant, the concordant result of the sexual misconduct. And since this is a negative and deeds, we have to be very careful with that, and then not to commit any of these in futures. And also be always ourselves guarded by the mindfulness and the meta awareness, so forth, and not falling under the sway of these bad negative deeds. So please now contemplate on these points.
So, in the Dana Chindo, in the Junior on the Samla Dana Yang, in that Java Judin Segoroa, and he milled to be on the Dana Yang, and the Gaja Tempashara, Michigan, and the Kashi, and the Karzaware, Gaja Junshella, Kaushu, Yoba. Kashela dina sozo kawo meba ina ya rawa meba zun mongbo xie xue zhuo yan rao dang. Dan zun zhong zhong, zun chenpo, meche la me zun la soba. Kang la ya ni xie la dina kasa gore, boba yoba, zhuwa yoba. De xie ba ina sozo nonzhu che song, ring ma song sa dina lo chun meba. Ani nam gyun jidang kachi xie wa na chikba zi xiang dina ya mongbo yong zhugo yore. Dina chung song, chungo gyu yuan de, 그냥 단대 소소 셈 타고 마녀로 올라되네. 안 단대 소소 카. 네 타고 마녀로 올라되네. 중앙 인도 네 카다 셈도. 네 타고 야보냐 거고도 도 삼로제 나로나.
So then next is the lying as a result of the inferred concordant actions. And for this, even if we are able to somehow take the human birth, then we are naturally prone to tell lies or deceive other people, right? We are this in somehow we don't have control in ourselves, not deceiving others. We are so kind of prone to tell lies, and then the great lies, also small lies, and the lies about one's spiritual experience, so forth. So we are so prone. We take great relish on committing these kind of lies. We are so proud of ourselves also committing these lies, even if we commit these lying misdeeds, we still feel so proud of ourselves. We do not regret, we do not kind of we basically do not regret, but just so proud of ourselves. So these are basically coming from not controlling our mind, our mouth, as well as our minds. And because of these, we will get to also suffer accordingly in our futures. So therefore, now take a few moments and think about this and think about controlling our mouth and our minds.
다 딘나진도 전에 안에 참아 쪽서로와 조신자바 대네 제바 주는데야네 아니 밀르든 토비용도 인촌종 내거 상행다 야도다 되네게 하마고 와세 되네가블라야 아니 깨접 팔로조 술로조 깨접 바제 소제 미미좀 뭐뭐 제는 소조고 유래 아니 kale tani miki do na raman ha ko ka chun da ron ko sem de shu che ru ro ne ani zhoshin ja da min ne zhongba ne zhongba kimze ne kimze ani de che ru no chongjen ne chongjen ani kyal kham ne kyal pa chu su ru de nyo ro mo bo so ji kyu de ne ani che ro gu yure denzo sama tan de nga zu je ne le la ra le gu yure ani de ma zu tani nga jal ya chu ba ji ya re nga kyal keja pendo meba ane donda mebe keja donzo xia donzo roa di cheba kyudun ya ane chema mi leba luden jewa langwa ina ya ane wata di rao keja xia la kao shu yoba mekse ane kaso gore tsongba ina tsongdan zivu keja min choba ina chodan zivu keja da ya mi lobjongba ina lobjongdan zivu keja mi 다 거랑 갑도 la 팬도 베게자 멤버제 강중 만중 한시에라 가오슈 요반데 연구 요래 또 된데 아니 상마에 가르쳐 그랬어 주잖아 난 제바 주는데 네 미용과 다데 단단데 아니 대 삽선난 거래 아니 딜라 죽었으면 나오나요.
So then the concordant result of the the divisive talk or slander, it's basically we are becoming someone who is not knowing what is good and bad, what is virtuous and then non-virtuous, and then naturally prone to create divisions between among others. First, we divide smaller groups, and then slowly we create divisions, the conflict among bigger groups, such as families, and then a village, and then slowly to entire country, and then finally to the entire world. We are creating conflict. These kind of things are the result, the dispositions or the result of such bad negative actions. And so therefore we have to be careful and be aware of these result of these actions, and then As for the the idle gossip, also it's similar. The concordant result of this negative action is basically also chatting or speaking something which is useless, meaningless. As Dharma practitioners, we are not talking about Dharma, but something which is completely non-related, not related, basically not related to Dharma. As a business man or woman, then we are talking something which is not related to our own business but completely useless and meaningless. As a school, the school students, then we are not talking about our daily responsibility, which is studying, but something else which is completely useless. These are the concordant result of the negative action, such as the the idle gossip, right? So therefore, we have to be aware of that, and in the future, in order to prevent these bad results, then now we have to train ourselves in the proper ways. And so now please take a few minutes and contemplate on these points.
Loso Dana Jindu Chene Ne Tsikzu Bingone Samla Namba Yinaya Mi Ludin Tobdu Ne Rajin Shen La Poe Kejan Ramanda She Langao Yoba Kaja Kao Meba Yinaya Kejakari Sheba Yina Shen La Nisimla Nelu Roda Shen Yisimla Podo Dre Then the Keja Legan Roda That Napsim Nosum Loda Mego Denzone and Simjin in the Zon the Hila Ranshin Yore de Taron Chonjung Nanny Casore Napsim Denzo Shuchumbo you can Nosim Yantes never tell you look how you can down down. And it the Carasore sang a gelay in the Hishimeba Jet in the younger Yure. Did some of Eugene Day and Tande and came a get Jawad and none that make it with Lara Legiosan.
So then next is the harsh words. The concordant result of the harsh words is basically tending to harm or to hurt other people. After taking human birth, we then very prone to hurt others by speaking harsh words or speaking something which is not pleasant, and we are hurting them and dividing them, and then making them tortured by our the speech, unpleasant speech. So along with this, then also the similar thing is about the covetousness and the harmful thought. We are naturally prone to harm others. and as well as kind of take others' position, want others' position, desire for others' position naturally. These are the result, concordant result of those bad negative actions such as harsh words and covetousness as well as harmful thought, right? So therefore, as this is the case, we have to be very careful about these and be aware of those, and then very careful about those. And then these are basically coming from the non-virtuous deeds. They are quoting non-virtuous deeds. So therefore, we we have to commit ourselves. We have to be able to not to commit these negative deeds again in the future. So please now take a few moments and contemplate on these points.
Maso tanda de samjoche ngo nyamdo kale sungro nang.
Now we will stop here and please follow me in during the dedication.
Rumba jembe gilgoro do deje zanga jebe gewa dezum zambe gezo gondo lame jangjo ningburo ngorandi sonam de daye jowa jena zangye barje gunji remni lamje jeba darje Pema jalbe ngoba nyurdo jo zadye la menje la mnyela yedam ganjo le dan jebje chunyon zome barje gonza chodye ngojo jeb raje jo maum bazrangoro bema zede o mije de lejebe yejene wazanyo mengaye damu sonjo wa bejo darangona rajenjo bejenjo bema Chunye ngo zom jaze dele lo nyamnango Shalme ganjembur Remba zembe bawo jangenzo Chose lo de doje lo garanjur Dewe do menkombo wadaye Nyeje terenje jana bemu Kozum go de jeme do renzo Kando jo be zenjo de lazo Zendango yen namro dale be juru cha Chembe de zander Da jenga nyam ye je jazung Zede be ma da do je warajo Deyare zenamje zenlamla denengo da yeje jazu Zonye la mengo ba nyurdun Rajende ne lunye Jobarajo de meje da yerme be manju Rananta be zando bareje Nare yerme manju nyume Dene nam da jendo Gewarajo kando ngebe gewa damjendo dore Tunde ando barajo Gema dando jedan jejurene Sujin jubera wa yubar Chedo nene nyembo dundumde Zedre zebe jazo kalbur Sembra dambe jaram denjeje Shembe jubla kyungala mebar Labje jende jore mebai Tamje jamje zanje do barajo Lazo tojeche 고소 도잖아. 아니 가서 제 맞아요.
here and see you next week.